Welcome to NFL News Update, where touchdowns meet headlines. Stay in the game with the freshest NFL updates. This is your quick dive into football fervor.
Vikings Kevin O'Connell says adding another first-round pick about flexibility in 2024 draft sees positive situation for QB Sam Darnold. The Vikings' first big move of the post-Kirk Cousins era came in the form of an asset swap. 10 days after landing a second first-round pick, along with a seventh-round selection in the upcoming 2024 draft, Minnesota stands in an interesting position. They could, as many expect, package their two first-rounders, 11 and 23, to move up to select a quarterback. Or, as head coach Kevin O'Connell explained Monday at the annual league meeting, they could use both to add blue-chip talent from a class he believes is loaded with it. I think you view it as extra flexibility in a draft where between our pick at 11 and the way we're looking at this draft at pick 23, we think there's going to be some really good players available. If we were just to stay at those positions and take players, maybe a quarterback, maybe a couple defensive players, O'Connell said on Monday's The Insiders, wisely keeping his target range vague while on the record. I think it's going to be a big-time offensive draft at the top, so when those marquee defensive players start to go, could be in a range around that 11th pick for us, but I think it was about flexibility. If you read that and came away feeling as if you'd learned little about Minnesota's draft strategy, you're not alone. O'Connell isn't about to show his team's hand and give up leverage in a potential deal to move up to take a quarterback, so he'll play up the strengths of the class without naming specifics. It was intriguing, though, to hear O'Connell admit the trade-up scenario is very much a possibility, provided they find a party interested in doing business with them. Yes, we want to, if we identify a player that we would like to go up and try to add to our football team. First and foremost, there's got to be a willing partner to do that, and I think there's going to be processes that play out, conversations here and onto the future. O'Connell continued. We'll figure out if we're able to do that, but yeah, I think it was ultimately of having the flexibility of having 2-1s in what we think is a really strong draft. And I don't think we're the only ones that view this draft like that. When entering a draft in need of a quarterback of the future, it's always better to have extra ammunition to potentially swing a deal. Minnesota did that with their trade with Houston, who was happy to take 2 second-round picks, one in 2024 and the other in 2025, and a 6th-rounder to exit the first round. All that's left now is the passage of time and the many preparatory exercises involving mock trades to get ready for what could be a pivotal night in Vikings franchise history. Let's not forget the new addition Minnesota already made to the quarterback's room either. After 1 year spent behind Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold left San Francisco for Minneapolis, where he is currently the best option on the roster. Always been a fan of Sam going back to, I've known him for a long time. Watching him progress through his college career and then ultimately being a high draft pick, having done a full process on him then, O'Connell said of the former 3 overall pick of the 2018 draft. We all go through a quarterback journey in this league, and I use that term very lightly for myself as well. But it's a journey where you learn and you continue to grow, and ultimately you just want to find yourself in a position in the future to be the best version of yourself and all the things you've learned along the way. I think Sam's at that point in his career. I think his best football is ahead of him because of how he's handled the last couple years, whether it's going 4-2 down the stretch in Carolina in 22, or when you turn on the tape of his work in San Francisco. You can tell Kyle Shanahan, Brian Grease, these guys did a great job in the next phase of his career. Fundamentals, techniques, things that you look for to see growth. I'm excited to get going with Sam because I think we can pick up where he left off last year. Like I've talked about already, love the group of guys that we have around the quarterback position in our offense right now, and I think it's going to be a really positive situation for Sam. The Vikings should be expected to only speak positively of Darnold and his new opportunity in Minnesota. But April, the 25th of the month specifically, will tell us whether they're truly ready to strap their hopes to his back and see if he can carry them to success. Niners eager for healthy Brock Purdy to get full offseason of work as QB1. Brock Purdy is one of the few 2022 NFL draft quarterbacks still standing with their original teams, and he's the only one of the group to truly have thrived so far. Making it more amazing is that Purdy has helped the San Francisco 49ers reached the NFC Championship game twice and Super Bowl once, respectively, in his first 2 seasons as the starter, and he's done it without the benefit of a full offseason of preparation as the team's QB1. As the final pick in the 2022 draft, Purdy spent his rookie offseason scrounging for whatever reps he could get as the team's third QB. Last offseason, Purdy was rehabbing the torn elbow ligaments he suffered in the conference title game loss to the Eagles. Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan told NFL Network's Steve Wyche on Sunday that the added repetition this summer could lead to even better results for Purdy. "Everything's about repetition. You can learn it right away, but it's about going through it," Shanahan said while attending the annual league meeting in Orlando, Florida. "Brock's gone through a lot in 2 years in these games, so that's been great for him. But the way you get better is doing it over and over in practice and just drilling it. It's all about getting those 10,000 reps. He spent it all last year knowing what he had to do, but he was just focusing on getting his arm healthy. Now he can go into this offseason knowing what he has to do with training his footwork, training his arm, training his mind, just getting in the reps." Purdy, the former Mr. Irrelevant in the 2022 draft, has been the one saving grace from that QB class to date. He has vastly outplayed the 8 quarterbacks drafted ahead of him, with Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, and Sam Howell recently traded to new teams as likely backups to start the 2024 season, and none of the other 5 in line to start anywhere else. "It shows how hard it is to play quarterback in this league," Shanahan told Wyche on Sunday. "There's 32 teams, and there's definitely not 32 guys. And even when you do have one, the pressure for a guy to do it over and over, week in and week out. It's such a team game that's dependent on so many different aspects, but the pressure always is on that guy." Shanahan praised Purdy, calling him unbelievable in leading the 49ers deep in the postseason in his first 2 seasons. But just because Purdy has far exceeded initial expectations doesn't mean the 49ers, and even outside observers, won't set the bar higher. "When do you do that? The standard changes," Shanahan said. "Right when people see you're in that club, then they're gonna try to see where in that club you are. It really never stops." That's the pressure that is on those guys. It's why it's the most high-paid position, because they've got to earn it. Brock's done that these past 2 years. He's been unbelievable. He's done it week in and week out. He's come back from a really tough injury in his first year. Had a hell of a year this year. Really hasn't had an off-season yet with us. I'm pumped to coach him.